Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jamie McDonald and Mike Banning here for Mirrorless Minutes, episode number 29. And if you've been watching the news lately, you've heard about the alien stuff going on in LA. Well, maybe it was just Mike and I on our way to the Mothership in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So, by Mothership, I'm referring to Olympus Headquarters in Center Valley, Pennsylvania. Every year, the annual Olympus Visionary Summit happens. And it's just an incredible experience. And this year was Mike's first year in the program. So I'm going to just kind of shut up for a minute and I'm going to let Mike talk and just tell you what it was like, because I know it's always mind blowing for me, but it was his first time. So I want to just kind of hear him talk.
Yeah, no problem. It is actually. I mean, I know when we first went, or we were getting prepared to go, you're always saying, "Get ready, man. These are going to be long days." And you were true to form. They were long days. They were. It wasn't. I don't know if it was ever hard. It's not hard because you're doing cool things. But the problem is you do need a couple hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And I think every day started at least by 8, and I know 12 o'clock was the norm, and sometimes it could even be 1 or 2.
Oh yeah.
And that's before some of you guys went to the bar, so I just leave it at that. So, but besides all that, besides having fun, I mean the trip is wow. I mean it is amazing. And one of the other things that a lot of people that can join in too, I think, is that Envision Photo Festival. I had no idea. That is not like out of Chicago at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even put the two in comparison. So next year, if those that might be thinking about going, you got to get to that Envision Photo Festival, because it's more about it, like it says, I guess it's more about vision.
Exactly.
It's more about the creative side. It's not technical. It's not, hey, I made this HDR by moving these 6 sliders this way or that way. It's about art and creativity.
Exactly.
And the development. And I mean, I can tell you, right, just from being there, not even I'd say not even seeing photography, just like in the banana factory, that opens you up to so much more art, just plain art, whether it's sculpture or painting. And you're starting to talk, like the one guy, we went into his one studio there that was doing the paintings that I would guarantee you were taken with an Olympus camera.
Yeah.
I mean, I could not believe the shadows and lights he was using. And that makes you see differently now.
Right.
When you're composing your pictures. So, that's just one thing. But, I do have a top 5 list if you want me to flip through it.
Yes,
all right.
definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. In no order. Obviously, first, like you said, too, is just being invited, to join in and be part of it with such a great group of people. But I think the first one is getting another chance to be in New York 2 weeks after I was there before. I don't know if I could ever get enough of New York, truthfully. I think I love Chicago. I love Detroit more than anything. But man, New York, just every corner is different. And sometimes you say you come back to Chicago once a month and it's different. I think as you turn the corners, it could be the same corner. It'll be different 20 minutes later in New York. I just never. It's a whole nother world. But being able to visit that One World Observatory, besides the solemn feeling you get when you're in that area, what a grand piece of architecture. If you ever get to New York, take that tour. I mean, You just got to get up to the top of that thing and see what you could see. And unfortunately, we were there on a really very foggy day.
Yeah.
But even in the fog, it was amazing. I mean, parts of it were just unbelievable. And I can only imagine what it would be on a clear day.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing the Statue of Liberty and everything. It almost looks like you're watching huge TVs, Florida screen TVs.
Oh, yeah. Their motto for One World Observatory, see forever.
Right.
And I can imagine you're right on a clear day.
Yeah, you really probably would. So, and then being able to see the September 11th memorial, that was, again, a moving experience.
Oh, yes.
And it really, I think seeing the area, when we watch it on TV, if you've never been to New York, and you start to see how small that area is. I was taken by, you thought it was so much bigger. That area was just amazingly small. I thought, obviously how high they went, but I can only imagine how much destruction happened around that. And for them to be in the shape they are, and people are celebrating it there, and people do it in different ways. I won't get any critical. I got critical of there when I was there about people just not being solemn enough, but I'll leave that alone. So I'd say the second thing is the presentations by our Olympus trailblazers and visionaries, John Sterling Ruth and Frank. These guys were good. I mean, and they packed the house.
Oh yeah.
In a nice theater, huge screen. If anybody ever gets to hear John Sterling Ruth talk about how he sets up a shot, the next time you go and plan shooting, it's nothing. It's not. If you think it's a lot of work, I mean, shutting down roads, getting permits, the models. I just can't even imagine what he does. But you'll learn a little bit. I know you said that too about how you're going to shoot, and I think he talked a lot about the vision part about from going wide to medium down to the tiny details, and you start to look at his ads, and then you start to see it. It follows that pattern all the way through. So really, and then Frank, of course, Smith, what he does with his, what does he call it? Photo.
This is philanthropic
photojournalism,
correct,
or documentation.
Yes.
Amazing stuff that he's gone around, and he did it on Cuba, and definitely a place that I would love to get to if I could someday. In fact, that's on the list, of many others. But so great presentations by those guys, and then on Sunday, one of the things we did, which I wasn't prepared for, but uniquely surprised, was those photo walks.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be basic photo walks around the town of Bethlehem. Well, we were granted special access to buildings, abandoned buildings, rooftops, a speakeasy that, and all these things that we're talking about, Jamie and I, or, even if it doesn't matter if he talks about it, I talk about it. I looked and I haven't been posting anything because I think I have over 3,000 images.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, by next year I might get some of these done. But I know there's great shots that you got at that speakeasy.
Yeah.
That are really cool that haven't been, processed yet. And I've got some awesome shots from rooftops, and I just was real happy with that. And I know the piece, and we'll talk a little bit about it tonight, that executive meeting on Monday. What I thought was neat about that is certainly the part with Naoki is great, with R&D and all that. But hearing all the other departments was good too, because it's good to know how many people are behind that EM10 when you pick it up and go shoot. I mean, they all want to hear what's going on, and they listen to photographers. And coming from a corporate job in a corporate world, I could see where they might say, these are just 12 people. That's not our customer base, and they know we have the pulse of, I think, a lot of people in the customer base. So they really were listening well. Went out to dinner. Jamie and I sat with Naoki and Martin, both from Japan, living here, but both from Japan. Martin's more on the business development side and business management, and Naoki, of course, research development and engineering. And it was a blast talking to those guys.
Yes, it was awesome.
I felt so much more, about like how the company runs and feels about us and about the customer. They say, I don't know, I know they had a hard time maybe verbalizing it, but they say, well, sometimes we know that this is tough. It's a menu or something. He says, but we are working on it every day to make it better. That's good to know. And probably the last thing, and the most important really, is just the interaction with the other trailblazers and visionaries. I wasn't sure how to take it, and I know probably your first one, you weren't sure.
Oh, yeah.
As you look at some of these credentials and you see Larry, and I know Jay didn't make it, but Pulitzer Prizes and Emmys and stuff. And why would Mike Boehning even be sitting next to that guy? But how just everybody gets along. It's a real testament about how they pick the team, and we interact. And of course, I've learned a ton of stuff from Larry and all that, but they were picking up stuff from us too, which was good. And great interaction. well, across the board. I mean, I just, and if they're watching it, because we've been bugging everybody while we're there to make sure they watch the show.
Right.
I know. But, I mean, Laura, Tracy, Austin, John, Larry, Frank, Peter, Alex, and I mean, you, Jamie, it was a great time. I mean, so happy to be involved. And, like, I'm pumped. Can you tell?
Oh, yeah.
I'm almost saying, dude.
Yeah. So, it's funny. After the first Visionary Summit that I attended, I came home exhausted, but inspired. Like I have never felt like that before until the next summit. There's something about the group that we have, everybody meshes so well. We're all so different and so unique in the subject matter that we capture and our approach to capturing it. But it's like you said, everyone learns something from someone else. And, you mentioned John Sterling Ruth and his approach to telling a story. It totally, it's so weird. You go into these presentations and and I'm just there because I'm interested in what they do. But, I'll be honest, I don't ever go into one. I always wonder, am I really going to take something from this? I feel comfortable how I shoot.
Right.
But going in there, and it was a game changer for me. John shoots, commercial photography. That's the furthest from what I shoot, but it still is, it's going to influence how I shoot. I love his approach. You start with the wide shot, you get the overall scene, and you slowly work your way through the scene until you get into the details. And, like I said, it was a game changer for me, and the same thing, with Frank's presentation on, and not just his stuff in Cuba, but, his shooting in Mongolia. I mean, just, and in India, just his approach to just he just gets in there with the people and gets them comfortable with who he is and him being there. And then he's able to get the reactions from people and expressions that are genuine. You can tell he's not shooting people that are posing for him.
No, not at all.
They're going about their everyday life with this tall white guy from another country with gray hair, Meanwhile, he's in India with people that are covered in colored paint, and he just, and I get the feeling he just blends right in with them, and they're at ease around him. Well, I mean, hell, I feel really comfortable around Frank, I mean, he walks up and the first thing he does is he puts his arms out and just goes in for the hug, and I'm not joking, when I say, when I leave, that I'm leaving a family behind, the bond is there.
That really does. You're right. You're definitely right. And well, Frank, what did Frank shoot? The eagle hunters?
Oh my God. Yes. The eagle hunters in Mongolia. It's, he was literally just there, a month or so ago.
Right. That was crazy what these guys do with the eagles.
Right. So for anybody who's kind of curious what Mike's talking about here, Frank was in, and I'm probably going to get it wrong, but I'm going to say Inner Mongolia, but it's probably outer just because I'm wrong all the time. So he was there kind of embedded with a group of, they're nomadic people, and they hunt using gigantic, they look like golden eagles, but they capture these eagles right from the nest when they're just a few days old, and they raise them throughout their entire life, and they hunt with them, and they don't hunt, like squirrels and mice. I mean, these are eagles. They're hunting fox, bigger animals with them. And his photos were just, I think my mouth dried out because I just sat there with my mouth open the whole time, like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. So, if I had a quick top 5 list like you did, it's going to sound so similar to yours, but, number 1 was New York, bucket list place for me. I love to travel. I don't get to get out, as often as I'd like, and it wasn't just that I got to see New York. I said I got to see New York with you, someone who understands the streets and understands how to put yourself into those situations where you're going to get good shots, and where to go at the right time of day, and just how to even hold the camera. I learned so much from you that day. Street shooting is a blast.
Great.
The second thing, I guess for me is the interaction with the group. This year, this is my 3rd time going, and this is the most comfortable I've ever felt. I did not feel uncomfortable at all. The first 2 years, it was constantly like, why am I here? Like, I mean, I'm not complaining that I'm there, but it's like, why am I here? These people are like way up here next level. And I'm not saying that I'm up here next level, but over the course of the last couple of years, I've grown to feel so comfortable around everybody, that I have no problem opening up to everybody there and talking about my life and what's going on in it, and it's reciprocated, it's just a great feeling. The third thing again, is it was the interaction with the public during Envision. Like you said, the Envision is not like your standard, conference, your workshop
camera
conference.
show.
No, it's all about the interaction with people, and it's more of an inspirational conference than an instructional. I mean, people are getting an instruction from it, but for the most part, I think it's just that whole vibe of being around with other creative types. Right. And just feeding off of one another, and the access that we were granted, like you said, to get on the rooftop of Hotel Bethlehem. And it's pretty much unheard of. The employees were like,
happen.
Yeah, the bellhop guy or whatever his title was there. I was asking about, how often do people come up here and get to shoot from up here and things like that. He goes, oh, nobody comes up here. He goes, we're not allowed up here. He goes, I've never even seen the roof until today. So I'm like, well, then obviously some strings are being pulled, and making the Envision Festival great for those who attended.
Right.
And I don't know if I'm on 3, but I think I'm going to go with number 4 is the interaction with employees from Olympus. And it wasn't just that we do the roundtable discussion, which we'll talk about shortly here, but it was the after hours things. We sit in a conference room like all day and good Lord, we were there from like 8 a.m. till 5:30 nonstop in that room, and it was hot and uncomfortable, but we got out and, we had dinner. And like you said, we sat with Naoki and Martin, 2 gentlemen who are really new to the country. And I bet I'm wondering, if they're as nervous as we are, because there's the language barrier, but, and afterwards I had a few people say, is it hard to interact, with the language barrier? You know what? And I felt like it was so perfect. We started talking about our families and our kids and in their interests and, the culture differences and what we like and don't like about, what we're doing here and there. And it was just a blast, and I guess if there's a 5th thing, it's that after being gone for 6 days, it feels good to come home to my family, and be back here. I brought back a sinus infection. That's exciting. I think I brought it from New York. It's the souvenir I got from New York. Yeah. My wife and kids got legitimate souvenirs. I've just got a sinus infection.
How much did you pay for that?
I didn't pay it. Olympus paid for it for me. So it was cool. It worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I think so.
So I was thinking maybe we could jump into an image share real quick. We'll do those. And then maybe kind of wrap up the show. We'll talk a little bit about the technical discussions that we had at the roundtable. There's some things that we can talk about, and there's some things that we can't talk about that we can acknowledge that we know about, but we can't go into detail about, which is really exciting. In case you can't tell by my face. Do you want to start off with the image share, Mike?
Yeah, I can. Let me see what I can get right here.
Cool.
And this is going to be an interesting one for me because can you see it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Out of the 5 images I have, I only took 2. I don't think I've ever done this. So first one I took this one. This is at the top where you're looking out, obviously heading due south, as you can see from the floor. And this gentleman here, the presentation that they do at the One World Trade Center for everything is got these great people that know every single thing about New York. And usually this guy was just crowded with people around him, but it turns out he's still going at it. And there was only one lady, and I just saw this shot. I said, oh, this is a cool shot. And then I happened to catch it with the word the buzz right in the center because all that stuff was flying around him all the time, moving. And as you would imagine, it's sort of New York like. It's crazy. So yeah, it was a cool shot. I like that one lady just thinking about what he was talking about. This next one, not taken by me. This is by Laura Hicks. who I'll give a special shout out while I'm doing this. We teamed up for the photo walk on Sunday, and Laura, she's a portrait shooter, a wedding shooter. I mean, she was just saying, I could never shoot in the streets. She's asking how do you go out and just approach these people and that. So it was a great time to team up with somebody that you just don't know. And by the end, I mean, we were just having a blast with all the people. We were, doing all kinds of crazy portraits and everything with them, the different photographers. So really, really enjoyed spending that day Sunday with her. But she put this together. That's all of us. That's the Trailblazers and a few other there from Olympus that had joined us, and Jen and Eric. I know are in there. I can't see exactly everybody, but I guess if you look at body shapes, you can see where everybody's at. And then I don't know. Is Austin bending down? Is that in the middle? Because he does have a. Who's ever in the middle does have a head, especially if that's Austin. He had a head the whole time. This shot is just fantastic, and it goes to show you don't even need a face in a shot to make a great shot. I love this shot. This is absolutely one of my favorites. Really reminds me of the whole trip. This one again, obviously I didn't take this shot. I was modeling in it, I think, as Peter would call it. Peter Baumgartner, our other trailblazer from Canada. He was shooting behind me. He goes, "Don't move. This is a good looking shot." So we were shooting time lapse, or not time lapse. Oh my gosh, I'm losing it. I keep telling I'm tired. Live composite. And, he's shooting, I'm shooting. And he says, just stay there the whole time. So don't want to tell anybody you're trying to stay there for 10 seconds, freezing on the ground. But it was a lot of fun. And it just, reminds me of how fun that was that night. Second thing, at the end of the day, here it is with Laura, top of the roof of Arcs Quest Center. I can guarantee you nobody's going up there. And this, what it does, it gives you a great view of the steel stacks, which is actually to my right. But that's me, holding the sun. I was trying to do my Rocky pose, Rocky Eminem. I don't know which one I was doing, but I really always wanted one of those shots, and she put that together for me. So it was a lot of fun. And this last one, I haven't even put out yet. Peter and I decided on Sunday morning to go out to the cemetery. It looked like it was close, and it was close, except the mountainous area. It was straight up, which was just nuts. So this is at the top of a cemetery, looking straight up, and in the back here are all the steel stacks, in Bethlehem. This is over to the right is where we're staying at the Sands Casino Hotel. But these are extremely old, tombstones. Some of them had fallen and weathered, from 1840s, 1830s. Even found an extra extended portion of the graveyard that was buried in the back forest that I didn't think was even there until I got closer. But this is just a really cool look, and I was real happy to capture that. And black and white just makes sense in this one, even though these nice fall colors actually out here. But the way that the whole graveyard looked, this was the deal. So yeah, that is what I have got.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I know I haven't really, I haven't started to even touch it. I was telling a few people in the group, I think probably on the first day, that I was terrified getting into New York. I was terrified that I would be the observer and the tourist and not the photographer, because I find myself doing that in new places. I get so excited to be somewhere that I'm 100% in the moment and can't detach myself long enough to shoot it all. So I was excited to come home with 2,790 something images.
Oh my gosh.
For me, that's like a record. Yeah. So I've got 5. Most of them are from New York, of course.
Yeah.
So start off with this one. This was out, with you in Chinatown. The decision to hit Chinatown, in my mind, was like the best freaking decision ever. That area is so rich with color and interesting people, and I don't even know. It's funny going into New York. I just kept thinking to myself, it's going to be one of those places where, yeah, cool. I'm so excited to finally get to see it, but I don't think I'll ever want to go back. And then after being there, I'm like, all I can think of is, oh my God, when can I go back? I want to shoot street now. So this is just in a back alley, and I can't remember the name of the street right now. I guess it's Doyers. Looks like it says 18B Doyers. And I know it's one of those areas that Mike had told me, like, back in the day, it was probably a really dangerous area at one point in time.
The Bowery. Yeah. It's not Bowery Street, but that's in the Bowery area of Chinatown, man. That was a rough area from what I gather.
But it, again, like I said, the rich, vibrant colors there. And so the way this was shot, Mike trained me properly, 17 millimeters, what you want to walk around with, perfect focal length. So this is like on the EM5 Mark II, and I've fallen in love lately using the pop art filter. And you go into the subsettings for it, and there's one that makes everything darker. And then I had the vignette also applied to that as well. So total blast. It's straight out of the camera. I haven't touched anything. This is just how it looks.
Yeah, because you didn't have time to process stuff.
Right, exactly. And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So, and then we went out to dinner that night, and after dinner, we made sure to stop in Times Square. I don't think Mike was going to let me out of New York without hitting Times Square, which is like sensory overload. If you're sensitive to anything, just don't go to Times Square. It's bright, it's loud, there's a ton of motion, and it is freaking awesome. So this is just straight up in the middle of Times Square with the f1.8 8mm fisheye, pretty much straight out of camera. I don't think I did anything to this either. I haven't had time to do anything. So I just wanted a different take on Times Square. I've seen a million shots looking from one end to the other, and I don't think I've ever seen too many shots where people just tilted their head back 90 degrees and fired up.
Yeah, I don't think you could do star trails in Times Square.
I don't think so either. You can shoot at ISO 200 in Times Square for people who are curious. It's like daylight. Like
almost F16, really, if you want.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because at 1.8 at ISO 200 facing down the street, I'm surprised. I would think I was at like 3200th of a second a few times. So it was like, holy crap, this is like noon. So while everybody else after that evening decided to wrap it up and head back, Mike, Peter Baumgarten, Austin Latimer, Alex McClure, Eric. and Eric. Eric, he's a tech rep, great guy. All decided, man, we're not done yet. We're heading out. So Mike took us over to the Brooklyn Bridge Park, right?
Yep, Brooklyn Bridge Park.
So, this actually the bridge you see right here on the left is the Manhattan Bridge, correct?
Yes, the Brooklyn Bridge.
And then the Brooklyn Bridge is on the far left, right?
Yeah. Yep, that's right. You got it. Manhattan in the front.
Manhattan in the front, Brooklyn far left. Yep. So these rocks right here are right near the, I don't even know what is this East River? I don't even know what it's called.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, whatever it is, these rocks almost claimed everybody's life at one point in time or another. Trying to get to the water's edge. They were very slick, very dangerous, but it was definitely worth it to get down to the water's edge and shoot. And you can see that the skies were like ridiculously cloudy. They stayed that way for most of the time while we were in the city, but I just think it adds a little ambiance to the shot. So this is the 7-14 at like f16 or f22 to get the starbursts. This shot's the Holland Tunnel heading out of New York, and the image stabilization in these cameras make shots like this possible. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I didn't take 15 or so shots to get this one shot, but this is at a point where we're actually cruising along pretty quick, which is kind of freaky to be that close to the walls and everything in there. But so I'm just calling this one Escape from New York because we were getting the hell out of town and headed to Pennsylvania. The last shot is just a portrait of a reenactor, I guess you'd call them. One of the stops on the photo walk / tour that we did in Bethlehem stopped at a blacksmith, like, I guess, what do you call them, people? The reenactors?
Yeah, I guess.
So
like Civil War guys,
Exactly. They were dressed in period dress and they were using period tools, and they had a coal-fired, furnace to heat up the steel that they were working. But one of the reasons I wanted to share this is, for one, the character of this guy is just phenomenal. But the other one is this is ISO 3200 straight out of the camera, not touched, with the 40-150. I think it's beautiful. I know it's kind of probably doesn't show through so great on an image share, but ISO 3200, and I wouldn't hesitate printing that huge 24 by 36 or larger. It is stunning,
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. pretty
Yeah,
stoked.
I love that Escape from New York one.
That was a
I
blast.
didn't even see. I didn't see that. I knew you were taking it, but man, that's cool.
It was fun, and it was just dark enough in the tunnel to where you could get a little bit longer of exposure. It's probably a little over about a half a second, maybe a little
Right.
longer.
Yeah, and
But,
I noticed you also try to protect. When you said some of us almost lost our lives on the rocks, you didn't say whose names like me.
No, I'm protecting the identities.
Yeah, man. It unfortunately, I think the problem is I stepped over the sign that says "Do not climb on the rocks," and
Right. Yeah.
I probably should have listened.
No, we don't heed warnings too well in the interest of photography.
But got good shots. Right?
Oh gosh, it's phenomenal down there. Without it, I'm glad you made that suggestion to go there.
That's a great place.
So I mean that's just kind of the highlights, of the trip for me. And do you want to talk a little bit about stuff that we were able to see, or just how the roundtable went, even things like that, because I know a lot of people are curious about it.
Well,
so
I can tell you that I thought the number, this is an interesting number, from the 12 that were there, or I guess 11 trailblazer visionaries, whatever. Plus there were some others that gave input sitting in that room.
Right.
I thought the last number that they had, because they were feverishly typing, many of them.
Yes, they were.
I thought it was 59 different things that they took in.
That sounds right.
Right. And some of them, I mean, I guess what I was looking for, and maybe you were doing the same thing, I was looking at his reaction, like Naoki's reaction on everyone, not the ones we were saying, because it was hard to sense that. But like a lot of the other people, trailblazers and visionaries, had many of the same things we were talking about too.
Right.
So I was always looking at you can tell when somebody says, yeah, we could do that,
right. Yeah, you can gauge whether or not they're thinking, oh my gosh, really, that's not possible,
Right.
And you really didn't see that, because I think everybody in the group is to the point where we all understand the technology enough and have had enough interaction with them to, I think we all kind of know what's realistic and not, and I don't think
the rules of physics come into play.
Right, exactly.
They're great guys, but I doubt they're going to be changing many rules of physics at this point.
Right, yeah. So following along with that line of discussion, for the people that did submit, there were a lot of you, more than, I don't want that many next year. It was hard. I was really freaking out, thinking I wouldn't be able to get through it. And I know I cut a lot of people off like the last day. But that's okay, because I have a feeling, that a lot of you probably had the same kinds of things. So I whittled it down to like the top 5. Top 5 was very, very similar to last year. So just gauging, Naoki's reaction. And there's another person that was in there too, who's part of that product development side of things.
Right.
And I know just in her reactions, I think everybody should be happy with the direction that everything is going. I don't think Olympus has really let us down on anything. They just continue to constantly to innovate and add features that, I mean, for crying out loud, they're putting things in cameras that I can't even imagine, where somebody came up with these ideas, and they're just pulling them off. So, the big one that everybody wanted was the naming of my sets. In my heart, I really think that that's coming at some point. And I'm not, I can't put a date on things, or a camera model, or a firmware version, or nothing like that. That's,
right. And we don't even have a date. You just feel
right.
You just trying very hard to do that.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to put it, is, that, you get that sense that they completely understand, what the needs and wants are, and they're really listening to those. So that's huge. And I know somebody's probably sweating that's watching this from Olympus about what I'm about to talk about, but I'm pretty sure I understood exactly what I'm allowed to say, what I can't say. And so for people who are wondering, is the 300 millimeter reel, is this something that's really ever going to come out? I can tell you, yes, it is going to come out. We know it exists. We have seen it We
it's
know
not the Loch Ness monster.
No, Nessie is real, and man, she is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got a crush on Nessie. So, obviously, we don't have time frames or anything like that, but man, Olympus, the Zuiko and Imzuiko, the Imzuiko glass is just ridiculous. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
The product lineup just grows so strong. It just keeps getting stronger. So sit tight, people. It's real. It's happening. And I don't think there's going to be a single person who uses that lens that will ever be disappointed in it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, that's as far as I can elaborate on it. We can confirm that it's real. We really, really know that it's real. So, yeah, I was just really excited to be able to say that because it is cool. It is very cool. Yeah. And can I give a tip?
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Especially because I know which one you're giving.
I know you know. So, okay, so we spoke about, going to shoot the bridges at night, and one of the people that came along was Eric. He's a tech rep. Well, he's more than a tech rep.
Yeah.
He's higher level than tech rep. So I'm sorry, Eric, if you watch this, I don't want to downgrade your title. In my mind, you're like
he's like Q in James Bond movies.
Yes, you know what? That is right.
Q.
He is Q because if Mike
without the suit coat,
if anybody in the program needs a lens or a lens hood or camera body or batteries or whatever, Eric/Q goes into his lab and he's got it all there, and he will disperse the equipment. But he does more than disperse. He's technically proficient to a level that just blows my mind. And he, well, Bob Panic's telling me the podcast froze.
Oh gosh!
But I think it's still recording our end, so I'm not going to stop talking because
I think it looks good.
Hopefully, it's going to YouTube.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to show you is something that Eric showed Mike and I, and it relates to art filters. And we were using art filters all the time by actually using the dial and going to art filters. Yeah, this is an EM10 Mark II in silver, my first silver camera. I'm happy. So Eric said, well, don't ever go to art filters from the dial. Not the way you guys like to shoot. You like to have a lot of granular control. You want ISO control, exposure compensation, aperture. You want full-blown control. He said, what you need to be doing is going to the picture mode dial or picture mode setting. And then, so you select picture mode, and I'm probably going to use the wrong dial. Yes, I did, of course. So go to picture mode and roll. Good Lord, Jamie, you can't see it, but I'm rolling the dial. So you scroll through the picture modes on your dial until you get to the art filters, which are what's there right now. So you can be in manual, you can be in aperture priority, shutter priority, program mode, doesn't matter. And then you select
what else you can do. You could do a time lapse.
Yes.
All right.
Which is how
all this came about.
Which is how this whole thing came about, was because Austin Latimer had done a time lapse, I think at One World Trade, right? At the World Trade Center. He did it in dramatic tone, and we're like, how in the heck did you do that without, external controls? Well, that's how. So that's our tip for the day. Hopefully this makes it through to the finished thing, because Bob Panic keeps constantly dinging me with messages saying, "Oh, you're frozen." Well, anyways, so set the camera to the mode that you like to shoot in. For me, preferably it's aperture priority, and then change your picture mode up here, which you would normally have to set to natural or vivid or whatever. Get that highlighted on there and roll your dial until you get to the art filter that you want. So now you've got full manual controls, and you've got art filters as well.
Yeah.
Best tip I've ever had. And
I agree. Be prepared. More art filter images coming.
Yes. Oh, geez. Good grief. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So, that's my tip. That's kind of where it's at with me. Hopefully this makes it through. If it doesn't, it's going to be a blog post.
Yeah, it's a good way to end the show.
All right. So, in a couple of weeks from now, Mike and I will be back on, and we're working on lining up a lot of guests. Actually, we'd like to get every single member of the Visionary Trailblazer program on at one point in time or another. We don't want to make the show nonstop interviews, but just plan on that happening over the next several months. We'll be having people on. So till the next episode, you guys take care. Any last words, Mike?
No. Hey, see ya. I'm going to get some rest. See ya.
You too, man. All right, take care, people. Bye.